So if you're suffering from acute back pain or leg pain, like sciatica, there are a couple of symptoms that you should never ignore, and I'm going to outline those in this video. So my name is Nigel Willman and I am a physiotherapist in the UK, and I have been for the last quarter of a century. So I've seen a lot of patients in my time, and I continue to do so on a daily basis. Now I'm pleased to say that what I'm about to tell you is incredibly rare. I've seen it on the fingers of one hand. I could count the number of people I've seen in this situation. But it's important that you understand, if you have acute pain or sciatic pain, that this is possible and it could happen, and however unlikely, you should be aware of it because it's a little bit serious. Now the first situation you should look out for and be aware of is something called Cauda equina. Now a Cauda equina is basically where there is a compression on the spinal cord from things like a disc prolapse. Now what will happen in that situation is that the neurological effects of that is that you will have numbness, tingling, lack of control of your bladder and bowel, things like a numbness around your private parts. These are severe symptoms, and if you have got compression of the spinal cord, it needs to be dealt with ASAP, as soon as possible. So you need to go to your emergency room and you need to get that checked out. Now what they would do if you present with those kind of symptoms is they would do an MRI scan almost immediately, or they should do, and they would check whether your symptoms are indeed related to spinal cord compression, because it is possible to have symptoms that mimic these and it not be a spinal cord compression. But it must be checked out, because there are unfortunately incidents where if it's not dealt with sooner, it can actually become permanent and you can have problems with bladder and bowel function and numbness going forward. So we don't want that. Go to your emergency room if you have any kind of symptoms like that, a numbness around your bottom, a lack of control of bladder and bowel function. So that's the first thing to look out for. I just repeat, this is incredibly rare, but if you have these symptoms or they develop, then I want you to be aware of it. So the other aspect to be aware of is if you have progressive weakness. That is a difficulty lifting a limb, raising a limb up, things like not able to lift your toes up, not able to lift your ankle up, and it's just flapping on the floor, it's slapping on the floor, and you've got no control. It's like literally the messages are not getting through to that limb. And particularly if that's progressive, if it's getting worse and worse, and particularly if you had it on both sides as well, that would be a real sign of something serious. These are reasons to get checked out immediately. And as I say, they are relatively rare, just like Cauda equina, but I want you to be aware of it. Thankfully, with weakness in limbs, it's usually a very, very temporary thing, but be aware to be checked out if you get that. Now notice that one of the things that I haven't mentioned is pain levels. You can be in acute severe pain in your lower back or down your leg, and it's not necessarily a sign that you've done something terrible. So that's good news, because there's usually a disproportionate amount of pain compared with the actual injury in the lower back. So be reassured, you don't need to be concerned as much about acute levels of high levels of pain as you do those other two symptoms, Cauda equina and progressive weakness. Look out for that, and fingers crossed you won't have any problems with that. But if you are in acute levels of pain, perhaps you want to have a look at this video about the importance of being able to find comfortable positions when things are really bad. Hope that helps.